Hello and welcome to the 2025 Specialty Crop Block Grant Program, or SCBGP webinar. This first presentation will cover the solicitation process and will provide an overview of the entire grant solicitation process. In preparing to submit a concept proposal, the first and most important thing to do is read the Request for Concept Proposals, or RFCP. What we are reviewing today is covered in greater detail in the RFCP for the program. The areas covered are listed here and include information about the program, the solicitation timeline, how to apply, and frequently asked questions. The purpose of the Specialty Crop Block Grant Program is to enhance the competitiveness of California specialty crops. This means that a proposed project must pertain to issues that affect the specialty crop industry and focus on improving the competitiveness of specialty crops. For a project to be allowed under this program, the proposal must clearly demonstrate that all activities and costs benefit the specialty crop industry rather than directly benefit or provide a profit to a single organization, institution, or individual. If you are already familiar with the SCBGP, here are a few of the changes to the program this year. Applications will not be submitted through Amplifund this year. Instead, they will be submitted using the Financial Assistance Application Submittal Tool, also known as FAST. There have been some minor changes and clarifications added to the allowable and unallowable costs and activities table. As always, we recommend you refer to the current table as you prepare your proposal. California Assembly Bill 1887 is no longer in effect, meaning that there are no longer restrictions on project-related travel to individual states within the United States. The threshold for special purpose equipment and supplies are increasing from $5,000 to $10,000. So what are specialty crops? Specialty crops are defined as vegetables, tree nuts, and fruits, including dried fruits, culinary and medicinal herbs and spices, and nursery, floriculture, and horticultural crops. Funds must not benefit non-specialty crops such as dairy, livestock, or any other ineligible commodities. Note that cannabis is not a specialty crop. A list of eligible and ineligible commodities can be found on the United States Department of Agriculture, or USDA's website, and is also included with the materials in the Handouts tab on the GoToWebinar dashboard. The list is not intended to be all-inclusive, but rather to give examples of the most common specialty crops. If there's a commodity you are questioning that is not on the eligible specialty crop list, please send us an email and we will be happy to ask the USDA for clarification. This is how funding for the program works. The USDA receives funding from the Farm Bill, and then approved funding goes to CDFA, and CDFA subawards funds to recipients. The 2018 Farm Bill contains provisions for the continuation of this program. However, as of the date of this webinar, Congress has not passed a new Farm Bill or a continuing budget resolution to reauthorize funding for the program. While CDFA anticipates continued funding for the program as described in the 2018 Farm Bill, grant awards will only be made if continuing authorization for the program is established and funds are made available by USDA AMS. To provide an idea of the program's competitiveness, historically, CDFA has funded approximately 23% of proposals submitted. In 2024, CDFA received approximately $23 million. Expecting roughly the same amount this year, CDFA will award grant funds to projects ranging from $100,000 to $500,000. Please note that CDFA reserves the right to offer an award amount less than the amount requested. In addition, the grant duration is 2 years, 8 months, beginning November 1st, 2025, and ending June 30th, 2028. Entities eligible to apply to the SCBGP include nonprofit and for-profit organizations, local, state, federal, and tribal government entities, and public and private colleges and universities. Importantly, individuals may not apply. An individual is someone submitting an application on their own behalf rather than as a representative of an organization or institution. If you are an individual and you have an idea for a project, we encourage you to partner with one or more eligible organizations. The solicitation process is a two-phase process. In phase 1, applicants must submit concept proposals for their projects. Proposals go through an administrative and technical review, and applicants with successful proposals are invited to participate in phase 2, submission of a grant proposal. CDFA will advise all applicants whether they are invited to submit a grant proposal. In phase 2, applicants submit a grant proposal that contains a more detailed description of their projects. For applicants invited back, the feedback from the administrative and the technical reviews will be made available to assist in preparation of the grant proposal. For all other applicants, the feedback will be provided within 60 days of receiving notification. Proposals that are successful in phase 2 will be submitted to the USDA for review. Once the USDA announces awards, we notify both the successful and the unsuccessful applicants. Feedback from the review process will be provided for unsuccessful applicants, and grant agreements will be initiated for applicants that will be awarded funds. As mentioned, concept and grant proposals undergo 2 levels of review: the administrative review and the technical review. The administrative review is an internal review conducted by CDFA to verify proposal completeness and eligibility requirements in accordance with program guidelines, such as were all the questions answered, is the budget section completed, were all the costs allowed, and more. The technical review is an external review conducted by a committee comprised of growers and representatives from the industry. Technical review committee members use their expertise to evaluate proposals based on individual merit and consider many factors, including if the proposed project is a priority for the specialty crop industry and the proposal's likelihood for success. CDFA is now accepting applications for SCBGP Technical Review Committee members. The TRC plays an integral role in evaluating and scoring projects submitted to the SCBGP. Applicants are eligible to become technical reviewers. Technical review members are required to notify CDFA of a conflict of interest with any grant applications to ensure that they are recused from review and discussion. Technical reviewers are required to complete ethics and sexual harassment prevention trainings, as well as Form 700, assuming and leaving office. TRC members will also review and provide feedback on assigned proposals. The TRC will meet 3 times within the grant cycle, once for an orientation webinar, and then twice to discuss applications and determine final scoring of proposals. This will occur once during the concept proposal phase and once during the grant proposal phase. Reviewers should expect to spend approximately 2.5 hours on the ethics training unless a current DOJ-approved ethics certificate can be provided. The CDFA training should take approximately 1.5 hours. Dependent on the number of technical reviewers and the number of proposals submitted, reviewers will be asked to review anywhere between 5 to 11 proposals within a month period. Time spent reviewing proposals can vary anywhere from 20 to 90 minutes per proposal, depending on the funding category selected and the individual reviewer. Benefits of participating include obtaining an inside look at the SCBGP selection process and how funding recommendations are selected, contribute to the discussion on what is important and issues pertaining to California's specialty crop industry, and provides potential networking opportunities. Interested individuals will need to submit Form 1.1.2 and Form 1.1.2a, along with a copy of their resume, to grants@cdfa.ca.gov by 5 p.m. on September 11, 2024. The technical reviewer application and instructions are available on the CDFA SCBGP website. If you have questions about being a technical reviewer, please contact us via the grants email, again, at grants@cdfa.ca.gov. cdfa.ca.gov. As noted in the beginning, the timeline for the entire solicitation process can be found in the RFCP. Please note that concept proposals are due on Monday, September 9th at 5 p.m. Pacific Time, and that late submissions will not be accepted. Applicants will be notified in December whether they are invited to Phase 2 and will have approximately 1 month to submit grant proposals. The Technical Review Committee has about the same amount of time to review grant proposals and submit recommendations to CDFA in early 2025. CDFA will submit the proposal recommendations to the USDA in May and wait for the USDA's final say regarding which projects receive funding. We anticipate announcing and awarding funds in fall of 2025. SCBGP has 3 funding areas: market enhancement, access, education and training, and research. You can see them all on this slide. Within each funding area, there are 1 or 2 funding categories. As part of the concept proposal, applicants must select the funding category for which their project is most appropriate. Further, each funding category contains several project priorities. Projects must address at least one of the program priorities listed under the selected funding category. For example, if an applicant determines their project fits best in research category A, which is environmental stewardship, conservation, and climate-smart agriculture, they will also need to select at least one program priority within that funding category. The program priorities are listed on the next few slides, but more importantly, can also be found in the RFCP. Within the market enhancement funding area, there is only one funding category, Category A, which is called Grown in California. Proposals submitted to this category should enhance the marketability and long-term competitiveness of specialty crops by leveraging the unique qualities of specialty crops grown in California. In other words, they should highlight the unique qualities and characteristics of specialty crops because they are grown in California. There are 7 program priorities within this funding category, and this slide shows the first 4. Here are the remaining 3. Although we won't review the program priorities here, please reference the RFCP and read each one carefully to determine which program priority or priorities are appropriate for your project. The next funding area is Access, Education, and Training. This funding area has 2 funding categories. Funding Category A is called Healthy Specialty Crops for All Californians. Proposals submitted in this category should improve access to and consumption of specialty crops in underserved communities and/or improve the public's knowledge and understanding of specialty crop agriculture and its importance to health and well-being of all Californians. There are 6 program priorities in this category, and these are the first 3. Here are the remaining program priorities for Access, Education, and Training Category A. Again, please review the RFCP to read them and review them in detail. Funding Category B in the Access, Education, and Training funding area is Equity, Opportunity, and Education for All California Specialty Crop Farmers. Proposals submitted to this funding category should benefit current and future specialty crop farmers by providing education and training, including improving equity through cultural appropriate education and training for underserved farmers in areas including business development and regulatory compliance. There are 7 program priorities in this funding category. This slide shows the first 3. And here are the last 4. The last funding area, Research, has 3 funding categories. Funding Category A is called Environmental Stewardship, Conservation, and Climate-Smart Agriculture. Proposals submitted to this category should address specialty crop agriculture's potential to mitigate and/or adapt to climate change, contribute to conservation of agricultural land and water, and/or enhance soil health. This funding category has 6 program priorities, and the first 3 are listed on this slide. Here are the other three program priorities for Research Category A. Funding Category B in the research funding area is called Plant Health and Pest Management. Proposals submitted to this funding category should address pests and diseases that affect the production of California specialty crops. There are 5 program priorities in this category. The final funding category in the research funding area is Category C, Food Safety. For this funding category, CDFA partners with the Center for Produce Safety, or CPS, to utilize the technical expertise of their grant reviewers in the area of food safety. The Center for Produce Safety releases a separate solicitation, conducts a technical review, and submits recommendations to CDFA. Please visit their website for more information. In addition, CPS contact information is provided in the RFCP and at the end of this presentation for those interested in submitting a food safety proposal. Concept proposals for the SCBGP are submitted through a web-based application called FAST. All proposals must be submitted electronically using the FAST platform. Each applicant will need to set up a user account and a WB key to access FAST. A walkthrough of how to use the FAST will be covered later in today's webinar. Again, the Additional Assistance Program has a separate application process. Please email grants@cdfa.ca.gov as soon as possible if you're interested in applying via this program. A complete concept proposal must provide information for each of the areas listed here. As mentioned before, the FAST, the concept proposal and outcome measures and budget template webinar covers the elements of the concept proposal in detail. Please note, at this time, the USDA has not provided CDFA or any other state Department of Agriculture with a request for application or the terms and conditions for the 2025 Specialty Crop Block Grant Program. If necessary, CDFA will prepare and make available a supplement to the RFCP to advise applicants of any changes to the program upon receipt of the USDA's request for applications. CDFA and all applicants will be subject to the terms and conditions of the USDA's request for applications and terms and conditions. Because funding for the SCBGP is provided by the federal government, all organizations submitting concept proposals to the SCBGP are subject to the federal cost principles. Federal cost principles are regulations based on an organization type used to determine allowable costs and ensure consistent treatment of costs. Applicants are responsible for identifying the federal cost principles appropriate to their organization and ensuring consistent application of the cost principles to the SCBGP grant funds. All organizations other than for-profit organizations are subject to the administrative requirement and cost principles in the 2 CFR 200. For-profit organizations are subject to the 48 CFR subpart 31.2. Links to these regulations have been provided in the RFCP. However, to simplify the interpretation of these regulations, we have prepared an allowable and unallowable costs and activities table reference. The table provides an overall guidance for the handling of common costs and includes USDA and CDFA requirements specific to this program. A copy has been provided in the Handouts tab, and a link to the online document is provided in the RFCP. Note that the proposals with unallowable costs may be subject to disqualification, so we strongly encourage you to make this reference. Please be aware that any of the following may result in the disqualification of a concept proposal. Proposals from individual applicants, incomplete proposals including proposals with one or more unanswered questions or minimal responses, proposals that include activities outside the grant duration, proposals for less than the minimum award amount or more than the maximum award amount, including indirect costs that exceed the limit set forth in the 2025 RFCP. Proposals with unallowable costs or activities necessary to complete the project objectives, which include indirect costs that exceed the limit set forth in the RFCP. We would also like to note that having an active exclusion in the federal system for award management, or SAM, may also be grounds for disqualification of a proposal. To learn more about registering SAM or determining your organization's current status, please visit sam.gov. Proposals submitted to the additional assistance for historically underrepresented organizations by organizations that are ineligible to apply. Proposals submitted outside of the FAST system. Proposals that benefit a single individual or organization rather than the specialty crop industry as a whole are all listed under grounds for disqualification. Please continue to submit your questions through the Questions tab, and we will address them at the end of the presentation. In addition, we will conduct 3 rounds of questions and answers, or Q&A. Any questions that you may have after the webinar can be submitted via email to grants@cdfa.ca.gov at any time during the Q&A process. To ensure everyone has an equal opportunity to receive the same information, we do request that questions received outside of our webinars be in writing. New questions and answers will be posted each week beginning on Friday, August 25th, 2024. The final deadline to submit questions is September 3rd, 2024 at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. We would also like to highlight the Additional Assistance for Historically Underrepresented Organizations Program, or Additional Assistance Program. This program was developed to increase participation in the SCBGP among smaller organizations that may not have the resources, staffing, or capacity to easily apply for and administer a federal grant award. SCBGP funds cannot directly benefit those organizations, but CDFA can provide technical assistance and administrative support throughout the process, including in the development of a concept proposal, which should help participants expand their capacity to apply for and administer grant funds. First-time applicants to the SCBGP are not required to go to the Additional Assistance Program, but are encouraged to do so if they would like the additional support during the application process. However, organizations who do apply to the Additional Assistance Program cannot apply to any other funding category. The Additional Assistance Program has its own RFCP with separate submission deadlines and eligibility criteria. Eligible organizations include K-12 school districts, nonprofit organizations, and tribal governments, both federally and non-federally recognized. Most importantly, we would like to emphasize that applicants to the Additional Assistance Program are eligible to receive one-on-one technical assistance during the concept proposal process and beyond. We highly encourage you to email grants@cdfa.ca.gov as soon as possible to begin receiving this assistance in the form of an email, phone call, or video call. Concept proposals selected for advancement in this program will receive assistance from CDFA and develop a full proposal for submission to the USDA. Proposals can request between $100,000 and $250,000 in funding. For more information, please refer to the separate Additional Assistance Program, RFCP. CDFA is hosting separate presentations via Zoom to go to the Additional Assistance Program in more detail. We recommend attending one of these webinars for those considering applying to the Additional Assistance Program. Again, we would like to encourage interested applicants to email grants@cdfa.ca.gov as soon as possible to begin receiving one-on-one assistance in the form of email, phone call, or video call. Here are some of the resources that were discussed in this presentation. A good place to start is the CDFA SCBGP website. A link to the recordings of our webinars will be posted on our website by Friday, August 30th. Another resource to submit questions is the CDFA Grants email address. We've also provided the website and phone number for the Center for Produce Safety. Additionally, the USDA AMS website contains a lot of great information about the SCBGP. However, please note that you should direct all questions to CDFA, as USDA will always refer you back to us. That concludes the solicitation presentation.